How to lube a 10mm Glock. Remember, these videos are done from the perspective of you run the gun hard, you need to keep it lubed, or you cleaned the gun and you need to re-lubricate it. So this isn't a cleaning video, it's just a lubricant video. Of course, if we're going to lube a gun, we want to make sure it is empty. Remove the feed, lock the slide to the rear visually, and if needed, physically inspect the chamber. Point the muzzle in a safe direction. And with these Glocks, if you don't understand how to take it apart, read the owner's manual. Get it apart. This one's got some dirt and debris in it, so before I add more lube, I am going to take a clean rag and I'm going to wipe it out a little bit. Mick, why aren't you doing a good cleaning? Because we're going to shoot it, and lube is life. I want to make sure that I've got it lubed up. A dry brush like this, knock some of that debris out. If you're going to do a cleaning, now's a good time to clean it. Barrel, pay close attention to friction points and touch points. What I'm talking about are bearing surfaces, as it's called in the machining or manufacturing business. That's parts, or sections of parts rather, where contact is made. So with these Glocks, for example, you see as that barrel lug comes back in, it contacts that front edge of the slide. You can always tell a gun that's been shot a ton, as this area or other such areas you will see peening, meaning that the metal, through abuse, just like peening, pound, pound, pound with a hammer, it gets rolled over. This gun's not been shot that much, so you don't see any of that. But what you do see is wear areas. That's not a bad thing. It is a clue to you, the gun owner, on what is touching and rubbing and where to lube it. So we'll start with the slide. I've got some Gunfighter Gun Oil in a needle bottle. This allows us to really control the flow of oil. I'm gonna put some right into the rails on both sides of the slide. The safety plunger, I'm going to put a little bit on that, and I'm also going to check the breech face here and the extractor. I've got a clean chip brush, and I just use that to kind of distribute that oil nicely around the inside of the gun. With these Glocks, you want to make sure that you don't get oil down into the striker channel. That's where the firing pins comes out. If you get oil in there, the problem isn't that it'll attract dirt as much as you will create a hydraulic situation where the oil could literally slow the forward movement of the striker, and when you pull the trigger, and give you a bad or light ignition, or none at all. So don't get any oil down in that channel. I'm going to take the spring, put a little more lube on my brush, and I'm just going to rub some lube on that. A little more oil on there, and I'm going to wipe down the whole barrel assembly. The lugs, barrel. We had lubricated the barrel. I'm going to take a clean rag if I had the time. Remember, guys, the context for this might be that you're on the range, sitting on your tailgate, and you know you've got another 400 rounds, 100 rounds you're going to fire that afternoon for a training gig or something like that. So this might not be something that you're going to do, lubing the barrel. But I do want to make sure that all of the contact bearing surfaces are lubed. If I'm not going to worry about lubing the bore if I'm going to go shoot a bunch more ammo. So I've got all the contact points in the slide lubed up. Chip brush works great just for a light distribution. Notice again where those parts rub. You're going to have rub and wear surfaces there. We put a little oil on the spring, not a ton, just very light. Just like your car, man, you're not going to run that car with no or low oil in it. We're going to come over to the frame now, and I'm going to take a look at the 4 points that matter most. 1, 2, 3, 4. The trigger bar, where it rubs on the connector, right there. I'm going to get a little oil on that guy. This is back together. We're ready to go back together now and make sure that we've got it rubbing or not rubbing. Pin the trigger back, make sure it's resetting. I'll show you a cool one. This was done by Ben at Boresight Solutions. It's got a Trigicon RMR on it. Excellent gun, Apex trigger. The barrel is from Storm Lake. This is my deer hunting gun. Same thing, go real quick. Run the rail. I can show you how fast we can do this. Just if I need to re-lube. Touch there, little touch on the breech face, a little bit on the extractor. Wipe that stuff in. Barrel. Put a little bit more on the brush. Wipe, 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 wipe. That's a nice looking barrel, isn't it? Get it all into the lugs. Drop that dude back in. Just like in the other gun, you can see where parts are rubbing. So we now can get our spring back in. I can do a quick wipe while it's even in the gun. I'm going to take the lower. Drop, 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 drop. Remember that point? Right there. Just one little drop of oil. Make sure it's moving good. If you're going to shoot a lot, there's certain areas that you may want to get a little more oil on, but these guns are not meant to be run super wet. But the parts that need to be wet should be wet. Muzzle in a safe direction. Lock that slide back, visually and if needed, physically inspect. Now, if you're gonna do a bunch of shooting, and look how long did that take? Less than a minute. I know I'm gonna need a little oil here. So if I wasn't taking the gun apart, I'm on the range, I could clear this gun out on the range. Yep. I know that this rubs here. I could put a drop of oil here. Now this gun would be empty and I'd have the muzzle pointed in a safe direction. I could put a drop there. See that? I could put a drop here and here on the range and keep it lubed up and ready to go. That's another quick tip to you guys on how to lube up a gun and keep it running. In this case, for a Glock 20, this one's a Gen 4 10 mil. There's a Gen 3. Boresight Solutions, we got some Gunfighter Gun Oil on here. The idea is keep them wet, keep them lubed enough in the right spots. Pro tip, look for parts that rub. Guns like this get hot, that heat burns stuff off. Use a good synthetic lube that can handle the heat. Treat these guns as if your life depends on them, because that's probably why you have them. Clean them, lube them, love them. Drew behind the camera, Mick on this side of the lens. Leave a comment below if you have questions. If there's something you don't agree with, go ahead and put it down there. The cool thing is we can disagree, but we can still be friends. It's not that important, guys. Be good.